So, Oksana, thank you for joining us to do this. Can you just start by telling us what your job is?
Thank you for having me. My name is Oksana, and I founded and currently coordinating the project in the Royal Borough of Greenwich to support Ukrainian migrants that arrived to Greenwich since 24th February 2022.
And how many families do you support? How many people do you support?
So we currently, through our project, support 314 individuals.
And are there a lot of Ukrainian refugees in Greenwich living in Greenwich Borough?
Yes, so Greenwich is currently fifth biggest borough in the UK.
What would you say are the hopes of people who fled their country when Russia invaded, and what are their fears?
So, um, some people that live in the UK now are really hopeful to go back to Ukraine as soon as possible to join their loved ones and to start rebuilding their country back. Some people are fearful because they have nowhere to go. All their homes were destroyed. And everyone is afraid that Ukraine is going to be in difficult financial situation and it won't be appropriate financial support for those that have lost everything. However, everyone wants one thing. They want peace for Ukraine and they want war to end and they want Ukrainians to be left alone and be given opportunity to start restoring their land, live peacefully.
Leaving your home, coming somewhere different, losing your security, all those things are going to have a big impact on anyone's mental health. So are you seeing refugees, younger or older, struggling with their mental health? And what would you say is especially hard for them?
Absolutely. Mental health has affected everyone. I haven't met one person that can actually deal well with war in Ukraine and being misplaced and having loved ones. That starts from the youngest, even 2, 3 year olds, they show signs of anxiety, separation from the rest of the family that were left behind in Ukraine. And that ranges older one, are older than their 90s. And then again, it's even harder for them because they are fully dependent on their family members here and then they're in completely new environment with the language they don't speak and will find very difficult to learn because of the age and not being able to go to college and so on. So, and fleeing the war is not the easiest thing. Also, knowing that their stay in UK is only permanent, it doesn't really give them any hopes for the future. For 3 years, it literally just to sit out the war, but who knows what's going to be in 3 years. I'm not very optimistic that this might end in 3 years. And some have lost everything, so they haven't got anywhere to go back to. Their homes completely, they're now either flooded or burned or bombed, and there's nowhere to go to. So yeah, traumatic experiences, PTSD, anxiety, depression. We have very vast numbers of suicidal attempts between younger population, our teenagers, and not coping well.
Would you say that the Ukrainian people that you're in contact with are getting good support from services over here?
There are mixed feedbacks. There are certain things that are really well set up, people supported through, and certain are not so much. And I think that is mainly because I was not prepared to receive such a big number of refugees fleeing the wars. We have 180,000 Ukrainians arriving across the UK. This means that there's additional pressure on existing services that we already have and not particularly expansions with the new demands.
I remember hearing that lots of people offered themselves when the war first broke out as host families. Is that still working okay?
That has gone down a bit, so people registered their interest. I have to be honest, it's not an easy to house someone that fled the war and has post-traumatic stress disorder. People choose to opt in for hosting a single person, single young working person. We have those, but the amount of is about 20% of the arrivals is usually single women that go into work straight away. Majority of arrivals are mothers with children, and they tend to, and then they require more space, more rooms to be able to be offered. And we know living conditions in London are very expensive,
Yeah.
and rarely anyone will have 2-3 spare rooms in their homes.
And what would you, I know that I get the impression most of the Ukrainians here are females who might have left partners, you know, brothers, fathers back home fighting or working. So what's it like being a refugee mother of young children here? And how have the school-age children adapted to going to school here and learning English?
So yeah, you're right. 64% of our arrivals are women. It is extremely difficult for them because it's not easy to be alone and have children to care for and try to find a job and be useful for society. Ukrainians are very proud people. They don't like to come and use the benefits. They find that shameful. They want to get jobs and be useful for society and provide financially, be financially independent.
Yeah.
So those mothers are under pressure. And the younger the children, the more pressure they have, and also isolation. They can live in host's house, they can have a great relationship with the host. However, they're still isolated because of the cultural differences, because not wanting to impose on the family host them, because they still want to provide a space, private space for the host, and that puts additional pressure.
And I'm just interested in you. I mean, over the past 16 months, you must have absorbed so much trauma and distress from, working with fellow Ukrainians. Have you ever felt overwhelmed? And what is it that keeps you going?
Absolutely. I have felt overwhelmed on multiple occasions. Those initial assessments, once we start, people share their experiences. So they tell us what they've witnessed. We've heard some horror stories from families, from doctors. We have doctors from the East. We have pediatric doctors that worked in the hospitals, that dealt with children the first days with amputation, so on. When they share the stories, they need to tell the stories. And once you listen, it does affect you, become like a sponge for people's trauma. So we try to look after each other in our team. We provide close comfort and we look for comfort in our families. So families are very supportive of what we do. I personally looked back at my faith. I was brought up in faithful household. I probably have neglected it to some point. Once I became independent adult, moved to a different country, this helped me to get back to my faith, and it does help me a lot to cope. It sort of just brings it all together, because as much kindness, we give a lot of kindness, and then we gain a lot of trauma from it. And to help to cope with that, we look for strength in our faith and in our families and in other Ukrainians, because we became very supportive of each other. So that helps us to get through every day.
Thank you. You're doing an amazing job, Oksana.
Thank you.
What could we do? What can we do to help?
Just be kinder. Kindness doesn't cost anything. Sometimes we become so absorbed with our busy lives and jobs and bills and responsibilities, we become immune to things that we see. It doesn't have to be just Ukrainians. It can be anyone on the street. It can be any migrant, any woman, and any man, anyone that struggles. Because once we get kinder and we support each other, we can make a difference. Asking questions, what people need, how can I help you? Not just how are you, because no one will tell you how they truly are if you ask them how are you, because people tend to hide the true feelings until they know you very well. But that process can be quite a long, and just ask what do you need? Do you need anything? Is there anything I can do to help you? And just, yeah, that will be great.
We'll also pray for you, Oksana, and for your team and
I
for
do appreciate
wonderful
that.
work
Thank you.
you do. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for joining us today. Thank you.